the sound of Lagos. My name is made it a point of responsibility to make sure that every single day is a moment for you to learn something. It's moments that affect you as an individual, affects your business, and even different segments that cater to your different needs when it comes to information. You're currently listening to Trends in the Papers. This is our daily newspaper review show where we look at our newspapers, we look at the top stories, we provide you with analysis, we even give you references to some of the decisions that have been made on your behalf by those at the helm of affairs. Once again, welcome to Mainland 98.3 FM. You're listening to Trends in the Papers. I'm Sage Babalola. I did tell you that there would be analysis provided. We're going to unwrap different stories, spending your time, your energy, your resources to listen and to participate on all the programs that we have. So I implore you to please stick around now more than ever, because across all of the shows, you never can tell, you might win something across all shows. As we're counting down to the end of the year, and if anything, we're more than grateful for your dedication, for your loyalty, and for the love that you've continued to show us as a station. Let's get straight into the stories. Fuad Said joins us now. Good morning, Fuad. How are you today? Hyperactive and a migraine. So,
Really?
yeah.
Why do you have a lot of coffee?
Fuad, I have
Been
to drink.
having...
Fuad, I have to drink coffee. Do you know where we get up in the morning? If people want me to come up and smile, I leave my house at 5 a.m. and then come and smile. If I don't take coffee, I will not. I cannot function.
I'm not really a coffee person. I think my body is wired to wake very early and get to, follow up some of these stories, read them ahead of time. So I don't know. Maybe the coffee is inborn.
Even though, I mean, I wake up, but then for me to really get into the day and be active, I need to take. I know it's bad. I know, because I know what's done and forces. Yeah, and so it's usually stories today by talking about something that is not sport. We have a lot of Nigerians that are doing exceptionally well. Tobia Amusan was an amazing talent, and he's representing us properly in international community. It's a beautiful thing. Fuad, would you like to say something about our?
Very, very nice to see, the way he appeared. There's a lot of investments on Lagos Island. In fact, he stayed on Lagos Island and all of that. And so nice to see him again.
Oh, hello. I think all the wonderful things that Nigerians outside the country are doing, specifically referencing Ademola Lookman for winning CAF Player of the Year, is so beautiful, really. And the representation of Nigeria on that stage, he did his best. Fuad is just trying to highlight that. Fuad, can you hear me?
Very refreshing. Nice to see. Away from the Kemi that the last week.
I mean,
back and forth, So, yes, man, stepping on the stage, representing Nigeria very well. Like you said,
Hello? Hello?
He's in.
Okay.
He's here in terms of putting in good light, putting out there for good things. Congratulations to him. Back to back for Nigeria. I think our ladies also did very well. The goalkeeper, for example.
Yeah.
The female team too, well recognized. So, each those segments here, the most in the world, you expect that we should be able to, take on the stage of sports. That's what we're doing. So, very nice to see a good one, from all the very negative stories.
Thank you very much for that side. All right, let's get into the stories that we have for this morning. I think we can begin conversations with the Guardian newspaper, and the Guardian opens this morning with conversations around food inflation. Guardian tells us that inflation bites harder as Nigerians await federal government food import duty waiver, with the claims rising food prices on falling naira, rising transportation cost. 35% of farmers abandoned farms for terrorist index rose to 1. Food inflation through the market for the opt-in time, the worst, and the situation could ease and pull inflation or cost push. But to go to the farm, they suffer from post-harvest half farms, or some are unable to use their farmlands because they've had to relinquish it to terrorists. They are facing those in the agrarian sector.
Well, Sage, the aggressive, right?
Yeah.
I've not heard several. We've had this conversation over and over again that until there's a convergence with monetary policies, we are going headline or even food inflation. It depends on where you want to. But I think what drives headline more is what happens with food inflation. And as it is, official thing from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics is close to 40%. I think we're over 40%, really. But I'm not going to be arguing figures this morning, say. The reality is that, look, if we are in the harvest season and we are still not able to see that substantial drop in prices of food, so what happens when we get to the planting season when, of course, you now begin to see some form of higher demand and reduced level of supply in some of these products? It's just what it is. And I think Nigerians should be prepared for a more difficult time ahead when it comes to 2025, as we approach 2025. Some of the problems and challenges have been well ahead, whether you like it or not. The policies of this government say.
Forest, logistics as well, transport.
Logistics, cost of transportation particularly. You understand what I'm saying? Would have shown a bit of more discretion, better planning, understanding of. The only thing we are locked in, you don't even to real in various. They say it, but they don't do it. They say they don't see it. It is what it is, Sage. I look, we've had a very two-way subsidy, and here you are now.
I mean, well, if you would like detailed situation when it comes to food inflation, and you understand there's typically the festive inflation that happens by those who basically makes the law, you can see that we have a difficult below your means. Let's move on to other stories. And again, we disconnected from Fuad. I apologize for that. But then it's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. FEC, the Federal Executive Council, 47.96 trillion budget proposal for 2020, approved the 2025 budget proposal. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, disclosed this while briefing newsmen after the council meeting an oil price benchmark of $75 per barrel, oil production of 2.06 million barrels per day, and X25 budget. So of 125 is 47. Tells us that there's still going to be a need for review budget, especially with the fact that we have a deficit of about 13 trillion.
Established, we already know that left and right with the figures. We're probably going to do more. We're going to run an economy. We're going to hope that the CBN will do one against the dollar. Change that, maybe something is going to happen. The CBN is already, should just take note that, look, even the government is already looking at the best that change markets and the expectations of Nigerians. So that, if you understand what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, Sage, the president heading for Wednesday. Sorry?
Yes, you're correct. 47.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the figure we're working with. We may be looking at $1 trillion. And now that we're putting 47 trillion, can we say that we've increased our budget spending, our budget appropriation, the figures? Because my mind tells me that 47 trillion does not necessarily mean it. We may understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
Just the same way we keep saying that, the governors are sharing more money. Yes, the figures are more. Again, we're going to have to get, I'm hoping that how well our budget has performed in. Maybe some of those things would appear again in 2020. I'm still going to see a lot of wasteful spend, 50 trillion. See, I think myself and Sandra were discussing. Mine tells me again that we've not done well with checking the figures, check what has been inside. But I think that, look, at the end of the day, that can really better the lives of the people. Look at in a surplus, not a budget debt. And a more
room we can talk about. Ultimately, we're waiting to see. Fuad, you just talk about real issues now, especially about the state most likely not be able to issue. And you've asked more. Then we can come back and listen to this, and let's have
electricity. Private ownership. Is that service or not? They draw on the taxpayer treasury in the name of correcting what is there. I could never have imagined, as it is today, that a private person will collect money for services he did not render. And the Nigerian people are helpless. Even we here as privileged class, I've had to buy the transformer that I use here in the heart of Abuja. And to install it, I have to persuade, negotiate, and even effect payment to Abuja distribution, whatever, to connect the transformer I have procured personally with my resources. And hereafter, this transformer becomes the property of the DISCO. And every month, I am asked to pay bill on brand A or whatever.
Under your transformer.
Like you said, sir, every state governors or most spend public funds, buy transformers for communities. And then you still have to contribute money. Many of us, very soon when we go back to the electorate, they are going to tell us that for 1 year, for 2 years, they've had no light. What is the problem? No transformer. And then they ask you a senator to go out and buy the transformer. You look for the money, you buy the transformer. And then they say, NEPA says you have to pay for them to connect the transformer to their grid. If cables are 40, you buy the cost, you buy the cable for them to install it. Even right now, I have requests from several communities asking me to buy their transformer and to get them connected. And yet, sir, the key element in distribution is transformer and cables, among others. So if these ones are now being procured by state government using public funds and individuals using their personal resources, what is the cost that these discos are incurring? Now, worse, the money they claim to have paid, because the logic of privatization was to inject private capital into these services. In truth, they went to borrow from Nigeria depositor funds in various banks, thereby killing some of those banks who have now become the liability of AMCON, which itself is also a contradiction about the logic of free market. And what they have borrowed, Mr. President, since the privatization took place, what they have borrowed through CBN and other sources is 10 times more than the amount they claim to have paid to become owners of those discos. Lastly, sir, as things stand, discos own no more than 60%, quote, own. So it is arguable where the total money you have borrowed from public sources is more than your private capital, whether you can still claim to be privately owned. 40%, as we speak, still belong to the federal government. But, sir, there are no governing councils. There is no governing board for these discos. So, federal government owns 60% of a business, and it has no say in the board of those companies. So, there is no corporate governance. The one of Edo is owned by a pharmacist. The wife is a banker. The pharmacy becomes the chairman. The banker becomes the MD. They mismanage Edo economy, Delta economy, Ondo economy, Ekiti economy, and we are now right now in crisis. Even I, sir, that I don't live in Benin, my bill every month, I can't even afford it. So, Mr. President, I support the motion by my very good friend who lost an earlier motion, thanks to the vigilance of Mr. Senate President and your commitment to protect the poor.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for your patience. We needed to get through all of that so we don't say something and then we're accused of misconstruing Senator Adams Oshiomhole. Fuad, he had a lot of things to say. He did mention
he
that
captured it perfectly. He just put everything together.
Even private individuals, even those at the helm of affairs, are in a way suffering for the ineptitude within the power sector. There's the issue of the grid collapsing 12 times in 12 months. There's the problem of the GENCOs unable to pay for gas supply. Even the TCN is suffering from infrastructure deficit. And to make matters worse, we have private individuals who know nothing about the power sector in charge of it. In fact, some disco offices have been seized by banks for failure to pay some of the loans that they had collected. Fuad, speak on this issue.
Look, Senator Adams Oshiomhole, I've listened to that, speech almost like 4 times. And he just captures it all. See, look at where he started. That look, what is the purpose of privatization? See, that when you say you're privatizing, you're moving from government ownership into private ownership. See, what are you trying to achieve? What are you supposed to get? First, you're trying to fight inefficiency, right? The bureaucracy that comes with government ownership of businesses. Whether I do the service or not, we're going to get paid or people will still have to pay. So you're looking for efficiency. Number 2, say, you're looking for what? More investment, right?
Yes.
For them to put in more money into that investment. But from what we have, say, because again, I think if you focus majorly on the disco and the way the privatization was done, but it's not completely different from what you even have at the level of the Genco, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So what Senator Sᴏᴜᴜ is saying is that, look, we need to ask ourselves, what is the level of investment of these so-called private investors, these private people who took over the power sector when it was privatized by Goodluck Jonathan, I think in 2013. What have they invested? If people are still the ones buying their own transformers, see, if people are still the ones buying their own cables, you know, because at the end of the day, when they took over these things, there were assets that belonged, you know, to the PACN of those days that these guys took over. Let us not also forget that, look, these guys also went into our banks to borrow money. The people's money were borrowed that they were not even able to pay back. Today, those monies have become the liability of AMCON. AMCON is now the one helping to sort out those debts. To make matters worse, see, you even as a community, you struggle, you buy the transformer, you buy the cables. They are so inefficient as we speak that you still have to pay them to come and connect for you. Private business will say, you know, I've always said it, can we compare what we have in the telecom sector to what we have in the power sector? Are we the ones now helping MTN to put up their mast, or Airtel or any of the networks? When they have problems, do they wait for the subscribers before they go and call their engineers to go fix those problems? You don't understand what I'm saying. But look at what we have in the power sector. And today, Nigerians are being forced to pay for a service that is not available. You are being forced into ban A, you are forced into this kind of ban, whether the service is rendered or not. Look, it's even so worse that, look, people who even have prepaid meters now are being told they cannot even use the prepaid meter. There's a meter that they have to use. So, I look at what Dr. Sᴏᴜᴜ said. He said, look, unfortunately, we are helpless. It's as if we are helpless. It's as if we are captured. It's as if nobody can say anything. Oh, they tell you can petition NEC. Which NEC? The NEC that was supposed to have revoked the license of these people, that also extended it for another 5 years after this performance. Is that the NEC we'll be relying on? The FCDCPC is not even able to help anybody. So Nigerians are almost, it's almost like a capture situation. So the question again is, this discourse, and it's a question I've also asked on this platform severally, what is their level of investment? Can they even show us? And the worst part of it all says is that we are being told that we are already about 2.something trillion on subsidy for electricity. And I keep asking again, which part of the value chain are we subsidizing? Say, because what it means is that despite the unavailability of the service, Nigerians are paying, the government is also subsidizing. What exactly are we subsidizing?
Fuad, forgive me. If the discos
Yes.
and the Gencos have been privatized, I mean, the only part of that value chain that is directly still
The
controlled is the
transmission
TCN.
end.
So I would like to
Yes.
assume that the subsidy is for the TCN, because why should the government subsidize on behalf of private individuals?
Okay, so are we saying that, look, okay, why then are the Gencos owing the gas supply?
It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know the answer.
Why is it that the discos, despite billing Nigerians for darkness, are still not able to pay their bankers? Why? Why do we have a situation where a lot of them are not able to pay their bankers? Why do we have a situation where a simple thing as getting a new transformer or cables for people, they can't do? People have to still do all of that. So basically, we are helping them to run their own businesses. If you don't understand, if you get to the point now where communities have to be the one to erect masts and transmission and equipment for MTN, how does that make any sense? Until today, there's still a community that told me that they already have transformer and said that they already bought a transformer. But the only thing they are waiting for is that they are also now putting money together to give to these discos to come and connect for them. In fact, one of them said that, look, they were even fighting them that they bought the transformer without telling them.
Wow.
You know, I keep saying that, who are the owners of these things? And also, also give us a hint into the owners of these businesses. And it's a collaborator. Don't think it's those people. Those ones are fun for some other people. And that is the reason why things that work seamlessly in other places don't work in Nigeria. The level of corruption, the level of vested. Look, when Jonathan came up with the idea of this Gen Code, Tisco discourse, look on the surface, in the books, perfect, brilliant idea. But you know what happens, Sage? The Ox, Awayele, and the Gulubu and Co. that in the system just took it over. It's just hijacked the whole thing. The greed. And the greed is the reason why the greed cannot stand. That one is collapsing. So at the end of the day, and to now saying that, look, we want to push for a $1 trillion economy with a commercial, ineffective, inefficient, dead power sector that we have, the shamelessness that comes with our greed collapsing 12 times in 12 months. So, look, I listen to another social media. Look, you might say you have your own problem with his politics, but what he has said about the power sector, there's probably nothing more to add. He just captures why we are in this terrible situation. And unfortunately, we have a minister that, in my own estimation, will fall about it. He just wants to jump into a new conversation without even taking his time to understand where the problem is. Or probably, he doesn't even have the power, the balls, to tackle the monsters, the cabals that have hijacked the sector. You know, I told you since, when 10 years after 2023, the contracts with these schools expired, what was the yardstick that made NEC to extend it for another 5 years? On what basis were they giving another 5 years extension? After 10 years of terrible poor performance. Look at where we are now today. We are now banned into different bands. It's a complete confusion. People are made to out in today. A simple thing as even giving people prepaid meter, they cannot do. And what is supposed to be the advantage of prepaid meter? See, before people even use the service, they pay ahead. That's what is called prepaid. You can't use without paying because you even pay before you use. But because they cannot guarantee the availability of the service to the people. And so we are now in a conversation of what is cost effective. We don't even have the calculation, we don't even know the modality by which they are even calculating these things. So I don't know. I don't even know whether they decided to take this serious. So who is going to save us? The ordinary people now think. Who's going to save us?
Fuad, it's even more ridiculous because many times people call into the station and talk about the fact they've not had light for a month, and at the end of the month, there's
there are communities that are without power for 6 months.
I've not had light.
Some for almost 1 year.
And so why are you billing me? Billing me for what? If I don't have any light, estimated.
Who's going to help them? They are helpless. And sometimes when people try to take us into their hand, they are either harass the police company because people are frustrated. Say. You go into communities, you build people for no. It's even the band A says that maybe they are using power. People are paying through their nose. People are practically sweating it out to be able to pay for that band A service. You know what it means to pay for it? Those on estimated billing, those ones are they are in trouble. If you have anything called estimated billing in Nigeria now, you are in trouble. Somebody shared this experience with me. Say that look. He was forced into estimated billing. He said, he was using so. They can't be using prepaid meter. They now forced him that, he has to be on. And that, look, initially he was spending like about 300,000, 400,000. When he was on prepaid, they now forced him on it. Now, when they were going to bring the bill, they brought 2.5 million naira. And look, this is the story of not even private property owners. See, look at business owners, what they are going through at this time. Look at even our health facilities, our health institutions, to the point where hospitals cannot even power their hospitals again. In schools now, there's even no power in our universities. In our universities, in LASU now, there's even no power. That one, they don't even disconnect them. I think at some point, they were even doing by 2 o'clock. They take over, they take out the light. By 2 o'clock, they off everything. Everybody go in the university. And it's still because of the same problems. And so you now have people who sit in government and we say we are doing this, we are doing that, we are pushing $1 trillion economy. All lies. Irola so.
Well, that is that about that story. There's another report in the Guardian newspaper that sort of gives us a context of the recent revelation by the Economic Financial Crimes Commission about the 753 forfeited Abuja duplexes. Now, this story highlights quite a number of things, highlights how we have a lot of government officials who misappropriate funds, but they're speaking more specifically to the seamlessness of extorting the Nigerian people, and worse, how they're able to very easily transfer these funds out of the country as well. Fuad, let's talk about the fact that we are in a society that not only permits extortion of the Nigerian people, it is an environment that sort of allows for you to move these monies seamlessly rather through different channels, and most people go without any punishment whatsoever. Fuad, first of all, let's talk about that system, and let's also talk about arrangements that we can make with the international community as well to make sure that it is difficult for anyone to move money from country to country, and also how we need to sharpen the tooth of the law when it comes to implementing punitive measures for those who have been caught robbing the Nigerian people.
Well said. I think that editorial by the Guardian newspaper is looking at our system, the leakages in our system, the porousness of our system that allows for people to steal money and move them out so easily. And basically what they are looking at is, instead of looking at the curative measures to tackle corruption, why don't we go preventive? Sage, look, when it was revealed that Mayfield 753, I mean, they said it's linked to a Mayfield 753 duplexes and other apartments. Look, the story for me was not actually the forfeiture and the number of properties.
The refusal to
I think, how did it happen? How is it that our system is so poor, Sage, that monies can move out like that? So are we saying that there are no checks within the system? Are we saying our system is so very poor and porous that, look, because again, we're just talking about just one. Just imagine the several orders that the EFCC may not have been able to track, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because you're just talking about just one situation here. How did it happen? How bad is our system? Is it that bad? Is it that poor? That look, because again, at all levels, we are seeing an entrenchment, the festering of systemic corruption that nobody can tackle. The governors are doing their own, appointees are doing their own, public servants are doing their own. So if you aggregate everything and put it together, you understand why the Guardian newspaper in the editorial is saying that, look, yes, it's a good one that, look, the FCC is able to get this. But the question is that how poor our system is? Is that poor our system is? Is that poor our system is? That because you are talking about a Mayfield. See, a Mayfield, everybody keeps a Mayfield. And we know that there are people that are worse than Mayfield in this country, that have done something even worse that we are accusing Mayfield of. That we know. Some of these politicians came in 1999. We knew how they came in. We knew their words when they came in. And we know what they are today. Sage. And some of them have been career politicians. They've not done any other job other than politics. We know them. So if you look at the part of the editorial, I said, by lamenting the societal latitude that permitted the stealing of public funds in large quantities, the Commission certainly touched on the kernel of the matter. What made public funds so vulnerable to embezzlement of public resources easily diverted to personal use? What does the government need to do to prevent such fraud henceforth? It said, unfortunately, we're going to bail the cat.
Huge question.
Who is going to bail the cat?
Huge question there. Well, let me just read the rest
every time we talk about public servants doing their own, I'm talking about